Meadors and Eric Lambert, and not only do they provide excellent information to people who want to get started with wholesale, they have their own multi-million-dollar business, 98-99% of which is products being sold on Amazon by FBA. They're going to show you a lot of stuff today, and I'm really glad you're here because I survey you, the people that follow me on Facebook and on my HonestOnlineSelling.com site, my newsletter. I've been constantly surveying you guys. You're all asking for, the majority of you are asking the same things, and that is, Jordan, how do I get started in wholesale? How do I find products that have less competition? How do I find replenishable products that I can reorder again and again? How do I do wholesale, etc.? So that's what we're going to talk about today with Dan and Eric and these guys. I remember when you guys started out like 3 or 4 years ago, and you were posting your pictures on Facebook. You got a little, I think you had like a little tiny warehouse, just boxes of stuff piled up, right? And now you're at, I would assume you've got like over 10,000 square feet or something like that, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, we got about 10,000 square feet and
8 employees.
Yeah, 8 employees. So yeah, things have changed a bit since then.
And I remember you getting started, I'm sure you're probably going to talk about it at some point, is you get started with retail arbitrage, buying up stuff, and you had a $600 budget on a credit card, and now your last sales, your last recorded sales are 3.8 mil for the year to date. Is that right? Or 3.8 mil?
Yeah, it's in that range. We're like right at 3.7, 3.8 for the year. So, and then we did 3.9 all of last year. So obviously we're going to try to double up last year as well. But like you mentioned, awesome. Yeah, we started RA, just Dan and I, and did that for like 2.5 years solidly, just grinding, and we got to the point where our capital outpaced what we could go buy. Like, I mean, we're in a rural area here in Kentucky, so we had to travel. We didn't live in a major metro area, so like there was a good amount of traveling required to go visit any number of stores. So it would take us 4 days to fill up the van, 2 or 3 days to process it, maybe a day with a family, then back on the road, but we weren't able to spend all of our money. So with this, in July 2014 is when we started the wholesale venture, and thought we'd do this to kind of supplement our income during the summer, because anybody that does toys and games, that's kind of where we were focused with our RA. Summer's pretty low, and so we just wanted to kind of try to generate another revenue stream. And then about 3 or 4 months into it, we quickly realized that it was going to be the revenue stream. And we went ahead and did that. Q4 was the last RA we ever did, was Q4 2014. And then starting in January, hit the ground running full on wholesale. And that was last year. We did 3.9 in wholesale only last year.
That's great. And obviously, what they say, nothing to it but to do it. That's what you guys did. So where a lot of people, just buying wholesale lists off the internet and making blind orders and stuff, you guys said we're going to do this the right way and do it from the get-go. And here you are. So I think it's a true success story, and it's an honor to have you here. Want to pop up the URL for the free video series? Do you have that handy?
I do have. No? I believe we'll be able to. Can you see that there?
Okay, so,
almost.
So,
well, there it is.
There you go. So before we get into the webinar, I just want to share that with you, whoever's watching. jordanmallett.com/TWF. Free limited time wholesale training. So not only are you learning today for free from Dan and Eric themselves, this is an additional free video series, and I've seen this. This is pretty incredible stuff. There's a whole lot of knowledge packed with this, 100% free, and please check that out when you're done with the live webinar. jordanmallett.com, all lowercase /TWF.
Yep.
So you want to get started with the questions, guys? I got questions for you here.
Yeah, we'll get right. I was going to mention one more thing about these videos. What they're going to do, what these videos are going to be. We're going to obviously mention it and give a brief overview when we talk here. I'm sure throughout this webinar, but the videos are going to go more in depth, and it's going to teach you how to source wholesale products the way that we do, which is a reverse sourcing kind of method, is what we call it. But instead of going out to trade shows and assembling catalogs and then coming back and going through those like we used to do, and what most people think wholesale is, we decided to find products that already have high demand and are selling really well on Amazon, and then contact the manufacturers of those products to see if we can carry them. So these videos go really in depth, and they show you exactly the way that we find products, the way that we analyze products based on buy box competition, sales rank, the number that we can sell in a month, and so it's got a lot of really good information, and it's literally the exact model and way that we source. So, and I think we're going to have those up for you there for about 2 weeks. So check those out. Like Jordan mentioned, there's really good stuff.
Now the in terms of those videos and in general learning how to analyze products, I think that's the cornerstone of every single Amazon business, because finding profitable products is paramount to having success on Amazon. And that's what these videos will show you. If nothing else, even if you're an RA guy or an OA person, these videos will show you how to analyze products better, or at least the way that we analyze products, and then you can apply that to your own business. So I think these videos really fit anybody, because it not only shows you how well the wholesale model works and how we utilize it, but it also shows you, how we look at a product to determine if we're going to carry it.
That's very, very smart, because there's people out there who are just getting started, and whether they do wholesale or retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, they don't understand, how to look at the buy box, how to look at the competition, et cetera. So that's very helpful. So thank you for doing that. So can you guys give, I know you already talked about it already, about how you got started selling on Amazon. Tell us a little more about how you got started with wholesale and how your Amazon business currently operates.
All right, I obviously showed you or told you where we are today, and it's phenomenal. We're very proud of it. And some people see this and think, well, we can't do this, or they have it easy. They hit the the perfect combination and got lucky. But what I didn't explain in those years, like I told you, this was a wholesale venture in the summer months from RA. Well, the 2 years prior to that, we also had some ventures that we were trying that didn't go so well. We opened a brick and mortar toy store to try to secure accounts and see how that went. That went terrible. The next summer, we decided to design a website dedicated to all things My Little Pony. We're going to try to exploit that niche and kind of get an alternate revenue stream. That didn't go great. Now, this obviously the wholesale, you see the end product and it looks great now, but this the thing is like, our mantra, if you will, is like, we just try it, because there's no better experience, better teacher than experience. So we know that we're not going to foul up enough to put us out of business. I mean, we're not, complete fools, but we know we are risk takers. And if it feels like we've got a shot and we're really confident in our abilities to follow through and do things. So, like I said, it's easy to look at the end product where we are now, but, we've, wholesale was a venture that went on well even before we thought at best it would run side by side with RA for us, someplace like to take over those lulls, those months of downtime for RA, but I mean it's obviously went far beyond anything that we could have ever comprehended.
And the reason that we got into wholesale particularly was that we were investing a ton of time into going out and sourcing products, and he mentioned that we're rural Kentucky, so that meant we're driving all over the country, literally, to buy products. And we just didn't. I didn't get to see my family. Eric didn't get to see his family because we were busy working for our business. And then we wanted to move into a business model that allowed us, the flexibility to do what we wanted, also to be able to be at home with our families. So that was the inspiration for getting into wholesale. And we took some bumps and bruises along the way, trying to understand how to make it work. But ultimately, it has given us that, it has given us that freedom back. It has given us, we're not outsourcing our products. Then, as a byproduct, our business has grown significantly because, once you're able to remove yourself from the day-to-day operation, like once you're able to take yourself out of the job, you can focus on growing your business. Like the whole dynamic of your business changes whenever you're working on it as opposed to in it. And it's been phenomenal, and that's why you see the level of growth that you've seen, that we mentioned.
What's interesting, we had a Ask Me Anything session that Dan Meadors, the folks that are watching this, he's the gentleman on the left, the lighter blue shirt. Dan answered questions for an hour on my Facebook page. The results are at jordanmalik.com/AMA. But one thing that's interesting, Dan, is that there's a fraction of people that are watching this that are looking at you and say, oh boy, I can't do this because I don't have a warehouse. And actually, you mentioned Jordan, if we were going to do this all over again, we wouldn't have a warehouse because there's so many third-party merchant fulfill centers now that will easily take products for you, for anybody who's selling on Amazon at any volume, and prep them and ship them into the Amazon warehouse. So I don't want anybody to be misled watching this saying, well, I don't have a warehouse, so I can't do $3 million a year. No, you can. It's much easier now because you have options of having your stuff shipped to a third-party fulfillment for a relatively low fee per unit will take care of that for you.
Right. I mean,
right, guy?
It's been one of those things where we simply didn't know that prep centers existed. So we had already started building infrastructure and doing the things you have to do to operate a warehouse. And I'll be honest with you,
right.
Building the infrastructure to run a warehouse effectively and having all those tools on hand and things like that is prohibitively expensive. But
right.
early on, even whenever we first were doing it, if we were to compare the rates we were processing products at, when you factor
right.
in rent, employee costs, things like that, it was well over what the prep centers actually charge. So
that's awesome.
It's more cost efficient even, and it's significantly less hassle. I would definitely suggest anybody use prep centers. It's definitely a superior method for processing products.
Awesome. I'm just going to say it allows full scale too. Like you may not, your first warehouse, we didn't start in 10,000 square foot. We started, our first legitimate space was about 1,600 square feet. But we grew fast, and the prep center can grow with you without having to change venues or anything. You can up your volume there without ever changing your space. It's all there. So that's another opportunity. It allows full scalability without ever having to consider, do I need a loading dock in the future? How much space do I need, et cetera. So that's another bonus that makes it just really attractive.
That's a great point, guys. Well, let's jump into if somebody wants to start. So I know people that are listening now or watching, somebody wants to start selling on wholesale. What's the first step? What's something that they should be doing right now, right when they get off this webinar?
Well, the thing about wholesale, and we'll mention it in a bit, is when you're dealing with brand owners and manufacturers, they're going to respond to professional businesses, people that take themselves seriously, and so you really need to shift your mindset to the point of not just being your own boss, but having and owning and operating a business. So you need to make sure you have your resale certificate. You need to make sure that you get your FEIN, get your federal tax number on file with the IRS, and you need to get your custom email address. It's much more professional. They'll take you serious if they contact you and it's Jordan@jordanmalik.com. That means you've taken the time, you're professional, versus jordanmalik@gmail.com. You're going to have a lot more success, be taken more serious. And those are just some of the basic things as you start shifting your mindset to be building a long-term perpetuating business.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of what he said. It's I think that's the key factor is operating as a business, conducting yourself as a business. Whenever you send somebody an email, make sure it's very professional. Whenever you talk to someone on the phone, do it in a professional manner, because these companies respond to professionalism. They don't want to do business with consumers. That's what the retailers are there for. They want to do business with businesses, and you have to represent yourself as a business. We've done we suggest things like working. Oh, yeah, you should also start outsourcing responsibilities for your business. Operate as a business. Look at utilizing a CPA, utilizing attorneys, and things like that. And that's just good business practice, in my opinion, because I feel like trying to do those things and manage growth is very hard anyway.
Right. And then you're just kind of stuck in the same cycle that you were with RA, where you can't scale. It's difficult to take RA on scale because you have to be involved in every part of it. You can't really inherently teach the people how to analyze a product to the degree that you would, but you can set up systems and model and places with wholesale where it's easily replicable. So when you can teach that somebody and outsource it, that's how you can go to the next level. That's what creates the ability to scale.
Interesting. And so many people are spending so much time. They say, well, I can't learn the wholesale. I don't have time to learn wholesale, but the retail arbitrage still works for people that want to start out, but they can't grow with that. They end up spending a lot more time. Now I'm looking back kind of like here historically, if you compare the amount of time spent per dollar earned, the retail arbitrage, particularly if you don't outsource, parts of it or whatever. It's going to suck up your time a lot more than, say, per dollar earned in wholesale. It's a natural progression. People should be exploring it. So I guess those are two things. Is that you can Google a way to find out if you don't know it now. Is that A, if you're watching and you want to get started with wholesale, you're going to need a reseller ID, right? So look at whatever state you're in. Let's say you're in Kentucky. Look up the word Kentucky reseller ID or reseller account, right, guys? Reseller tax ID.
Anything like that's going to get you to the relevant information.
Okay, and then second, make sure you've got a domain. So even if it's your last name is Smith Enterprises or whatever, make sure you register a domain. And that's very inexpensive to do these days. Go to Bluehost or go to GoDaddy or whatever, and make sure you're setting up an email address of mary@smithenterprises.com. Great. So that you guys would consider that your first step. And a lot of people on this conference call or webinar are asking, how much money do I need to get started? So when I got started, I was like, gee, for wholesale, you're going to need like $6,000 or something. But it's really not like that. So can you guys talk about your experience with that?
Well, I can tell you what we did. When we started, like I said, our capital had outpaced our ability to spend it with RA. So what we had planned on doing was setting aside $5,000 for this wholesale venture. Well, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to secure, spoiler alert, which will address one of the biggest things that we learned how to start securing wholesale accounts, but we didn't know how. We thought we got $5,000 to spend. All we got to do is start calling people. They're going to sell us stuff. It turns out that wasn't the case. In fact, that entire month learning how to communicate with these manufacturers, I thought all it was I needed a checkbook and I could buy a product, and that's just wasn't the case. So I think that first month we were barely able to spend over maybe $2,000, even though we had a lot at $5,000, but just didn't know exactly what we were doing. And as we've resolved, further this process over time, we've refined it and teach kind of ways to get in the door there. But at the beginning, we thought, hey, we got a pile of cash, we can buy products, right? And it just didn't work out, that way, for us. And so, like, we started basically with about $2,000, and realistically, if we were to recommend a number, it would probably be in that range. Something that, because the thing is, you don't want, it's not just $2,000. It needs to be $2,000 that doesn't affect how you operate your day-to-day business. You don't want to, go all in and then be worried about, because that's just going to create unnecessary stress. And even if it doesn't go bad, like if it goes good, as it probably will, but you're going to be stressing yourself out the whole time, worried about the money and things, and you can't make decisions properly and act accordingly. So, is that what you feel about in that range?
Oh yeah, I think that's a great range to be able to operate effectively. If you look at initial orders and things like that, the most people's opening orders are like $500. So that gives you the flexibility to not only place, say up to 4 opening orders, but it gives you the flexibility to, if there's a discount available at say $750 or $1,000, then you're able to hit those discount tiers and reduce your cost of goods.
Very smart. Very smart. Okay, so a couple of big pain points is I hear a lot of people saying, Jordan, I want to get started with wholesale, but every provider I talk to is no longer taking Amazon sellers, which I can understand. Some may not want to dance with an Amazon seller, but what's your experience then, and how do you overcome that?
Well, initially, whenever we would get that, because we had that same issue, whenever we would get that email, we'd just be like, oh man, or they'd tell us it on the phone, just, oh man, it was like it's just terrible. It was just blatant. That is rejection. That's what rejection is. They say they don't want to work with you. But now, whenever we get that email or that phone call, it's actually more like a, yes, that's awesome. Because we understand that 99.9% of people, when they get that email, when they get that phone call, that they're going to do the same thing that we did originally. They're just going to hang up the phone and be sad. They're going to hang up, or, all right, and just stop moving forward, right? So now when we get that, that's actually something exciting, because it means that product's going to tend to stay better for a lot longer. It effectively reduces the amount of possible competition that we're going to see on that product. So, one of the strategies is that originally when we started out, it was just that we have money, we would like to buy your product. That was the mentality, right? It was just, I want to make money off your product. Well, we started moving into the area of wanting to be a solutions-oriented business. We wanted to be a tool for them, right? We would be able to identify problems or or things like that with their brand, and we would try to help them fix them. Or we would try to identify their pain points. Like if we talked to them and they said, we're not taking any more Amazon sellers or what have you, then we're asking them, what kind of bad experiences have you had with Amazon sellers? Why are you not working with Amazon sellers? Because I feel like we can really increase your brand presence on Amazon. I feel like we can optimize your product and do other things. I would love to know some of the reasons that you're not working with them. And because what that does is it allows them a chance to explain what their issues are. And if that's something we can work with, if it's something that we can address, that's going to help us start a great relationship, as well as being potentially one of the preferred vendors of a very limited product.
Right. So they're used to hearing just 99% of the time somebody not even talking with them saying, "Oh, you're not going to allow me to sell on Amazon. Well, see you later." But nobody's actually coming to them saying, "Hey, maybe we can help you out like you guys did." Right. Is that right?
It's just it's a different mindset. If you think about it, most people are super concerned with, how can I their first thought is, how can I make money? Not how can I be of service? And we've essentially adopted and embraced the service role in this relationship. So when we're contacting a manufacturer, we're doing it with the mindset of, how can I help you first? These are things that I think I can do for your brand. What do you need me to do for your brand? And it really goes a long way to helping start great relationships in the wholesale space.
That's excellent, and I'm really glad that you said that, because what you just described is the cornerstone of any business, right? So I don't care if you're at Subway making sandwiches, or if you work at an airport, or you're building, lawnmowers. So everybody just wants the quick buck, right? And the competition, no matter what industry you're in, that if you're going to survive, you have to be very focused on the person or the company that you're partnering with.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, I think that's probably the most important aspect of wholesale is relationships. Like you should focus on developing a great relationship, and then usually your ability to become profitable will foster from that relationship. People want to work with you. People want to help you succeed when you can help them.
That's excellent. Excellent advice. And what else are you guys doing different? So I know that you just talked about you approach the wholesalers differently. What else are you doing differently where most people be like, gee, that sounds counterintuitive, or it's something they haven't heard before?
No, it is primarily the service side. Like we're willing to commit lots of resources to helping them. And, it can be simple stuff too. It's like, when we approach them about getting those accounts, there's no magic pill we can slip them to be able to give us the account. It is legitimately, we approach them with, if we see problems with their listing, let's say that their bullet points aren't very good, and we understand, and what we'll do is we'll show them maybe a competitor's bullet points, one of their competitors' products, and say, all right, look at this. This is why they're converting better than you. Like, they're converting because their listing is better. We can turn this around for you. And that's, as I said, they want to work with people who want to work with them. And then it's all the other small things too. It's, we do all this thing, all of our contacts to professional. We have domain email addresses. We have a beautiful website. We have a beautiful website that explains our company mission, like what our company is about, how we, some of the ways we can help be of service to these vendors, and it really represents our company message in a professional light. So that's ultimately, we want to approach them in a professional manner of service. Like, how can we help you?
And I mean, another thing that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the videos, that the 3 videos that are up for the next couple of weeks that we do different is the sourcing. Like I said, we've ran through ASD with a backpack full of catalogs and came back and went through them trying to find, everybody's sourced this way, and it's just very difficult. We've just never had much success. I know people that have had success doing it. We haven't, and then that's when we started developing, hey, let's target a product. I mean, I know everything about this product, right? I can see it. It falls in a sales rank I like. I know how many times it looks like it's moderate to low competition. So, I've got all the pieces to the puzzle, the equation, if you will, except for cost of goods. So what do? I mark it down on my sheet, and I spend the rest of the evening sourcing for these kind of leads. And the next day I'll come in and I Google this company, because it may be a company I've never heard of. I mean, but I find out, then I reach out from there. Hey, can I sell your product? And we start talking to them and get a price list and start trying to set up an account from there, because It's the only missing piece. I already know, thanks to something like Jungle Scout, approximately how many times it's going to sell per month. I know, with Keepa, what its price degradation, if any, has been over the last 90 days. I know how many sellers, the wealth of information is just all right there, and I know everything I need to know about this product, and I want to sell it. And the only question left is, can I get my cost of goods low enough? So when we kind of put that together, and it was like, it makes total sense now, but at the time it was like, this is it, let's try this, and it's obviously been wildly successful for us.
That's awesome. Building relationships is critical, because that's what's going to separate the wheat from the chaff. Like, anybody can go just find any product, grab it, buy it online, be the same old seller that everybody else is, but you guys are actually providing a solution. And the interesting thing is, when people hear or watching this, like, oh, Jordan, I don't want to be a solution provider, that's too complicated. I don't want to be able to call up a wholesale provider and say, oh, I can actually improve your listing. The actual doing the work, quote unquote work, or actually providing the suggestion to improve the listing or how to improve the business, the information, the tools are already out there. So it's not like maybe you guys 2 or 3 years ago, if you wanted to improve, you could say to a wholesaler, look at your listings on Amazon, and you got some things wrong with it. It really wasn't like something you could figure out in like an hour, right? Because there's no software, no solution to do it. Now today it's very different, where you can actually software and the solutions or the services. You want to go to Fiverr and have somebody improve a listing for $5, you can actually do that today. So does that resonate with you guys? Do you guys agree with me there that it's like now you're actually, a manufacturer is going to be excited to work with you because you're actually telling them, here's how you're going to make more sales. But giving them that information to make more sales is much easier for you guys to grab today, or anybody to grab
Sure.
than it was 2 years ago.
I mean, if you develop the right relationships with them, then a lot of the times they don't even, they don't know how to change an Amazon listing. So if you just tell them what you want, like, we'll be like, hey, we want a great description for your product. Can you get that from your marketing team? They will give us that. We don't even have to write it. Like, all we have to do is literally plug it into the Amazon side, because, we understand Amazon, whereas they don't. Like, effectively in this relationship, whenever you do stuff like this, it's just like anything else. You may not be the most proficient Amazon seller on the planet. I know we certainly wasn't, but we understand it better than them. And whenever you're willing to accept that role, you effectively become the expert in that space, right? So they want to work with you because they understand that, that Jordan's an expert on Amazon. Like, he helped us fix our listings. He got everything corrected for us. But all Jordan did was actually submit a case through Amazon with the changes that they wanted. And they
Right. They get the deer in the headlights look when it comes time to sit down on the computer, right?
Sure.
That's really what happens. So, okay. So a lot of people say that every product they find to sell on Amazon, can't make a profit on. So there are people that have come to me and say, Jordan, I've already tried sourcing wholesale and I can't make a profit on this. What am I doing wrong? Do you guys have an answer for that?
Well, first, I mean, it's one of the things that we do that is different than most people is, we're not sourcing out of these. We're not slugging through all the gigantic catalogs looking for products and hoping something hits, right? Like, we're not going from wholesalers. We're not going from distributors. We literally, whenever we find a product that we like, we contact that brand and try to buy it directly. So our pricing is generally better from that brand. Also, there are other tricks. Like, there's other things that you can utilize. For one, you should always negotiate price. Like, you should always be doing it. You can be negotiating from the perspective of, I'm willing to increase my order by this much. Like, what can you do? You can also be doing it from the side of, I was going to run sponsored ads on your product. I'd like to be able to do this, but I can't on the current product, with the current margins. What can you do for me to help me support your product, help me market your product better? And generally they're going to want to work with you in that capacity. Another thing is with shipping solutions. There's so many shipping solutions to be able to do this. Like, if let's say that their shipping is what's causing the issue. Well, we go through an absolute host of freight forwarders. So these freight forwarders generally are able to get much better rates than if they were calling if they were just calling up Estes and saying, hey, can you transport this product for us? With the freight forwarders, what they're going to be doing is working with multiple lines and things like that to get you the best possible price. So, and then beyond that, like, when you start thinking about the wholesale model, in general, it lends itself to efficiency. Like it lends itself to bigger price breaks in there with shipping and things like that. So like my shipping to Amazon, most people tend to average, say, 35 to 45 cents a pound. Well, our shipments to Amazon are at 3 cents a pound. And it's because what we're doing right there is we're shipping multiple LTL pallets. So whenever you start buying more product, you're able to drive your cost down. And the same thing is true whenever you're handling that product. If you're trying to process, 2 of this, 1 of this, 3 of this, it's like a really inefficient process, right? Let's say I'm getting a product in and I have 100 of them. I'm doing the same thing 100 times. I can do it much faster. And, a lot of the prep centers give you discounts for wholesale product because they want wholesale products because it's easier to process on their side.
Very interesting. So if I'm green, if I've never done wholesale before, and you guys have already provided the advice, look at start getting a domain name, get your own company name, get your tax ID, etc. But what's actionable? What if I want to start looking for a wholesale product right now? Give me some basic parameters. What you guys are doing. If you were starting from zero with limited capital right now, what would you be doing? Where'd you start?
I mean, honestly, I would start on Amazon first, and I would try to identify products. The first thing, I implore you to watch the video series that's up on Jordan's site, the jordanmalick.com/TWF. Like, you should watch that first. I promise you, it will really help you out. But the first thing you want to do is you want to be looking for products that, you don't want to compete with Amazon. So look for products that aren't carried by Amazon that you can sell a significant amount of times in a month. Because what we're looking for ultimately is we're looking for liquidity. We're looking for products where we can invest money and have an expectation of when we're getting that money back, right? I don't care if my margin's bigger, even if I don't know when I'm getting my money back. I care about realized profits. I care about whenever I'm buying something that, within 30 days, this is what's coming back to me. Because what that does is that allows you to plan to spend that money again, right? Let's say I'm investing $2,000 in this product, and I understand that it has a 30% ROI. I know that I have $2,600 to invest next time. So that gives me $600 to spend on a new product. Because that's the beautiful thing about wholesale is I can tell you this: 100% of our inventory is replenishable. So we're not sitting there trying to fill voids in our inventory. It's not like, well, now I'm sold out of that. I gotta try to find a way to replace those sales. Instead, we're looking for ways to build on our sales, to build on our profits. Like, we just look for more products to add on top of that because the same product I was buying 3 months ago, I've been buying every month since that point. And we don't go deep on our products. Like, it doesn't have a high carrying cost. Like, that's another general concern with wholesale is, I have to invest a whole lot of money into a product that has a high carrying cost. It's hard to get my money back. The products that we target, we're able to buy our inventory for a set period, say 30 days, and 30 days after, within that 30-day period, we're ready to reorder again. Like, we're not having to carry so much weight of inventory. We're not buying 6 months of inventory or a year's worth of inventory.
Right. You know what's interesting? I'm hearing, and you make a good point. I'm hearing this, and what's interesting is if anybody's looking at you guys and saying, how can they be doing 3.8 mil a year? It's because you're treating this as a real business. You're doing, before there was Amazon, let's take Amazon out of the picture, you're doing the same thing you would have done if you had like an e-commerce site or if you're selling on eBay. Yep. Right? So that what's separating you from the rest of the pack of people that may not be doing 3.8 mil, they're struggling, they're doing 100,000 a year or 50,000 a year, or they're getting products and all the competition's jumping on them. You guys, and this video series covers a lot of this, the free video series, jordanmalick.com/TWF. You guys have treated this like a real business. If anybody's got any questions, like how do I do a multi-million-dollar seller, how do I be a multi-million-dollar seller, everything that you guys are talking about is just age-old stuff that's happened forever, even without Amazon in the picture, right?
But and generally it's just we're applying business practices to buying and selling product on Amazon. That's what it is. It's we're factoring in things like turn rate, we're factoring in carrying cost, and we're maximizing our returns month over month. And that's why you see that huge jump in sales. Like, we went from 1.28 million to 3.9 million in sales, and it's because we're able to compound our money. It's it isn't because somebody a nice benefactor donated us a bunch of money to spend on product. No, we were able to drop down that month over month. Like that growth is that we're spending, let's say we're spending $5,000. The next month we get that return.
Right.
We're spending all of that money, we get that return, and we're just doing it over and over and over and ramping up our capital. That's why you see the giant growth in numbers, because we're not having to fill voids in our product lines.
So it's also an interesting point is that people say, oh, Jordan, I source toys and I'm making a 50% ROI, but if I do wholesale, I'm going to do 20 to 30%. But they don't realize is that your efficiencies of scale bring that profit to you a lot quicker when you're in wholesale versus the onesie twosie stuff, the retail arbitrage, right?
Well, you got to look at it from this perspective too. With retail arbitrage, particularly, it is a great model and it has great margins. But how often are you buying a product that looks like it's a 100% ROI product, and then you send it in and you have to start battling the price, like the price starts dropping, or you reserve yourself to wait. I'll wait until everybody else sells out, and you're not realizing a profit. That's the problem, is you have dead money in your inventory. So it's you have to look at your 100% ROI in the retail arbitrage space and say, am I actually realizing 100% ROI on my products? Also, am I factoring my time? If you're not factoring your time, with in regards to your business, like you are the most of you're the most important part of your business. Like you should be a valued resource in your business. You have to factor in your time as an expense when you're out there, walking through aisles and scanning product. That is a charge against your, that is effectively lowering your ROI right there, because you could be sourcing other.
And processing cost is processing time is way higher with the RA in a way, with the handful of SKUs, like he says, with the homogenized like wholesale shipments where there's a reason that things are made on an assembly line and not start to finish. One person doesn't start making a car and finish it all the way. They make a piece and piece. And an assembly line, it's the most efficient way to move product through, and that's what wholesale does with, so you're wasting, your time, that people don't consider how much faster I can be processing a wholesale shipment versus, a van load of RA stuff like we used to have to do when we were out doing it.
Awesome. Very, very sage advice, guys. Do we want to jump to some questions? I see some people have posted some questions, or is there anything else you want to add before we do that?
No, I think questions are probably the best way to get some specific, answers for people that have any questions. So that's probably a good way to go.
Okay, let's shoot. Do you have it handy?
Yeah. I sent you one over there. Let's see. Here's one. Have you ever had the manufacturers you've worked with decide not to work with you anymore?
Yeah, that's part of it. We've where they're changing their strategy or whatever. It's a very low percentage though. That's the thing is I think we've lost to that specific instance. I think we've lost 3 companies since we've been doing wholesale. And we currently order from several hundred, 200 companies I think that we actively order from. So it's a very small percentage, but yeah, occasionally that'll happen, and it's there's a ton, it could be any reason. It could be they've decided to work with another seller who's really been helping them, or it could be that they want to sell the product themselves, and they
tell them the good story about the company that I don't know if we ever secured the contract. We were really close, and they told us, sorry, we decided to go with Amazon. And then just recently they recontacted us and said, yeah, we've had enough selling to Amazon. You guys are interested in still selling our product? Isn't that how it went down?
No, it was, well, kind of. It was our third account that we had got, and it's a really, really awesome product. And we had been ordering it. We ordered really strong because it was a great performer, and had continued to build orders. And then the company contacted us one day, and they were like, hey, man, we want you to know that, we're going to start shipping orders to Amazon. We just signed an agreement with them. We're going to start fulfilling orders to them. And we want to give you a heads up. So, we got out of the product, just didn't place a reorder. I actually thought it was really nice that they gave us a heads up that this was getting ready to happen. Just 2 weeks ago, they contacted us back and were like, hey, man, we've decided that we're no longer selling to Amazon. Like, we'd love for you to carry our products again. And this happens. This is more frequent than you imagine, or most people imagine, because selling to Amazon as a manufacturer is actually pretty tough. Like they have, you can get fined for if you ship a product late to them. You can get fined for if your pallet's not packed the way they want it to be. They have long net, they have net 60, net 180 terms sometimes, and these companies are. It's far harder to deal with them. It's hard to reach out to your Amazon rep if something's wrong with your listing, because that Amazon rep may be managing, say, 1,000 companies. So it's hard there's a lot of things that make it complicated, and they realize that they get the same level of value. A lot of these companies are starting to realize that they get the same level of value from a third-party seller who's willing to just pay for their product and not, and actually promote their product.
And if anybody's nervous listening to this saying, what if I'm not palletizing my products correctly, that's where the third-party fulfillment houses come in. There's a lot of good ones out there, and they will do that for you when they receive shipments from a wholesaler. Let me ask, here's a question that was posted. Says, what else is on you guys mentioned, let me back up a little bit. You guys mentioned you have a company website. To have yourself appear more professional, so when you're dealing with a manufacturer, they'll be more apt to deal with you. Somebody asked, what else is on your company website, and is it a retail site?
Well, we actually have multiple sites. We do have a retail site as well, but on our company information site, that's the one we actually, whenever we're talking to manufacturers, that's the one we direct them to. We don't direct them to the retail site. We direct them to, our information site, and it's because we want them to understand what we stand for. Like, we want to make sure that we want them to see that, hey, these guys can do all of these things. I would love to employ some of these strategies into my own listing, and then if they still tell us no, and what we do is we call them and be like, hey, did you check out our website? And that's whenever we're having that conversation of why are you not selling to Amazon sellers and things like that. But we really do want them to know who our company is. I think it's a very professional introduction, and it keeps you from sending those giant wall of text emails. Like, it makes your communication more concise, and it's more in a more controlled fashion. So you get to show them what you can do, show them who you are. And it's really simple. As far as to answer the question, it does. All it says, all our company information site is, it tells, about our company, how long we've been in business, and our company's mission, and then the different things we can do to help people sell their products better on Amazon.
Somebody listening to this is, gee, I got to build a website, but really this is something you can go get done these days for, I would assume, $25, $50, $100. And this is something that's critical. It doesn't have to be nothing fancy. It's a one-pager website, right? Yep. And it's something that's critical if you want to separate yourself from the pack. So if people are sitting back saying, well, gee, I'm wondering why I'm getting, low-margin products, or I can't find a good wholesaler, here's one of the things that will, when you set it up properly the first time, it's not going to cost you a lot of money, but it's going to separate the wheat from the chaff. It's going to make you stand apart from the pack of people that are bringing sending massive volumes of emails over to the manufacturer, right?
Yeah, it makes your communication just a lot cleaner, to be honest with you.
Very good. Any tips? So one question that somebody asked: any tips for negotiating lower prices?
Well, honestly, one of the better tips is it's an abstract concept, but you want to focus on win-win situations, right? I mentioned it earlier that one of the things that we do sometimes is if we feel like we can advertise their product and do well with it and bring notice to their brand, like, I will tell them what I'm doing and tell them, this is the price I need to be able to do that effectively. As it stands, I can't do that because I don't have enough margin in your product. But the majority of the vast majority of negotiation is going to be price. It's going to be volume based, and a lot of the things that people run into is like, well, they want me to increase my order too big, but there's other ways to go about it. It's like, I don't want to place a 90-day supply order, right? So I tell them that this is my monthly order. This is what my monthly order is going to be. Like, I realize that people are placing that much larger order, but they're placing 4 orders a year, whereas I'm placing an order with you every single month. And most of the time, that's something they will come around on. So you can get a volume-based order without having to place a volume-based order initially. Like you're able to show them that, this is an order I'm willing to place over and over and over.
Interesting. Point of clarification for somebody that look at the questions. Resale certificate is procured at the state. So many manufacturers will require you to have a resale certificate. That's something you get at the state level. So if I'm in Nevada, I would be looking at Nevada resale certificate. The federal tax ID you need, if you're a quote-unquote real company, you need a federal tax ID. Have any questions, you need to hire an accountant, specifics on that, but that's issued at the state level. Excuse me, issued at the federal level. So you get, I think IRS.gov is where you get a federal tax ID, and you have to be a corporation or a business to get that. Right, guys?
That's correct.
Yeah, and if you have a CPA, I mean, if it's something you don't feel like doing yourself and you have a few $100 extra to spend, a CPA can set this up for you for $250, $300. Like they'll knock it out. And let me tell you another trick with your resale certificate. If you don't have one already and you're doing retail arbitrage, you're literally costing yourself whatever you pay in taxes. Like if you're going into a Walmart,
sales tax.
Yeah, right. In terms of sales tax, like that resale certificate is you can get a tax free. You're tax exempt effectively at retail stores when you're purchasing products for your business. So you should get that regardless. Like this is not exclusive to wholesale. It is actually good business to get that. It's going to save you money and help you be more profitable no matter what your business model is.
That's right. If you guys are watching us, joining us, make sure you jump to the free video series where a lot of this is going to be covered in more depth at jordanmalik.com/TWF.
Yeah, I'll put the banner back up here in a few minutes before we sign off. That way people can see it again then too.
Excellent. Thank you. Here's another great question. Do you guys, to procure a product, do you go straight to the manufacturers or do you just deal with wholesalers?
Well, okay, so here's a level of confusion that we tend to get into when we say manufacturer. Like when we say manufacturer, we're talking about the brand owner. We're not talking about the Chinese factory who probably makes the product. Like if you're going around that, let's say that I'm buying a Nike shoe, and I decide to go to the factory to purchase my Nike shoe, I am counterfeiting products. Like that is actually illegal. You should not do that. You will lose your Amazon account. It is possible you will get sued by Nike for selling counterfeit product. You have to stay within the chain of custody of product. So if I'm purchasing Nike product, I have to go to Nike, and I would theoretically go to Nike and talk to their sales department. Now their sales department will set me up as a business, and that is considered direct. But yes, we go direct to the brand owner, the brand owner and manufacturer to buy our products. We try to avoid using wholesalers and distributors because we don't want the extra markup in there.
And what's interesting, and I think you said this before in the Ask Me Anything session, is that you're dealing with U.S. based only for the most part. So people are thinking, gee, do I have to go to like a China manufacturer or something? No, you don't. There's actually plenty of companies here in the U.S. that will deal with guys like you, or guys like me, or an Amazon seller.
Right, 99% of the companies that we deal with are domestic. We have, I think, 2 manufacturers that are based in Canada, and that's just Canadian brands of products that do really well on Amazon. And we have 1 from the UK currently that does really, really well on Amazon that we buy and import from the UK. But outside of that, all of our products are from the U.S. and U.S.-based manufacturers.
Awesome. Here's a great question. I have heard from someone that Amazon will try to cut out the middleman or the wholesaler if they see the success that the wholesaler has. Have you experienced that?
We've lost 4 total accounts since we've been started to Amazon becoming a seller on those products. Now, I personally believe this. I feel like that Amazon, Amazon looks for. They're not looking for opportunities to necessarily sell more product. They're looking for opportunities to please customers. Like the times you're going to see them come in are if your price is bloated, and they realize that that product is available at one of their competitors cheaper. That's where their sales team's probably going to go out and try to find that product. Similarly. If you run out of stock all the time, then I don't think they're not out there hunting Jordan's store to maliciously hurt you.
What they're doing is because it doesn't make good business sense. Why would carry the cost of goods for them to carry the product when they can have you carry the burden of the cost of goods and get 15% off the sale? They just want your price to be in line with the market value. You can't be pricing it at $22. They can go get it at Walmart for 14, all day, and all other, that's their competitors. So like, and they know this is a very popular product, they may come in there. Or like Dan was saying, if you continually go out of stock, maybe you're carrying it at 14, but it goes back out of stock and up to 25, which would be a nice retail arbitrage opportunity for somebody like that. But they know that when it's in stock at $14, it sells amazing. So they're going to move in and make sure they keep it stocked. But it doesn't, from a business sense, it doesn't make sense for them to take on the cost of goods of the product when they can have you do it, so long as if they can keep you to, keep your price at market value so that they stay competitive with their competitors. So,
I mean, it's that's also one of the things I mentioned earlier is a lot of the manufacturers are looking for other ways to sell on Amazon because, like, particularly through third-party sellers, because they realize that the third-party sellers can offer the same benefits without them having to have Amazon's terms and risk fines for misshipping or anything like that. Like, it's much easier for them to work with us than it is to work with Amazon. So, as I mentioned, 4 total accounts since we started wholesale that we have lost to Amazon, and one of those just came back. That one I told you about 2 weeks ago. So now I guess it's down to 3.
Yes,
we were at 4, now 3.
And that's not how many, Dan, that you've dealt with in your career the past three years being hardcore wholesale sourcing.
Well, we actively order from about 210 companies. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean that's 4 out of that. Great. Our attrition rate is about 8 to 10%. So you can say that we've probably been ordering from about 240 companies since we started, and then it's down. 210 out of those 210 are still active. So
that's incredible.
240 is the correct answer for how many Amazons came onto.
People can learn a lot from you guys that you're doing it right. That link we'll put up later to the video series. There's a lot that you're doing right that people aren't doing, and that's why they're falling down. So it's great to learn from you. I got another question here. Can you give me an example? You said a lot of your products are replenishable in your warehouse. Stuff that you're selling on Amazon are replenishable products. Can you give an example of one?
One of the misconceptions is that replenishable has to mean consumable.
Right.
Replenishable means anything.
This means we can get it again.
Right.
We can continue order it.
This speaker, I don't know if you can see that. If I can, let's say that I can sell this thing about 80 times a month. If I can order 80 of them the next month and then 80 of them the month after that, that speaker is replenishable. So it's any item where you can constantly get the same products again and again and again. And that's the beautiful part of wholesale for us, is it means that we're not trying to fill that void. We're building over, so our sales go up. It's like we're building on this account level. We have this many accounts right here. Next month we have this many. Next month we have this many, and that's why our sales continually go up month over month. It's because we're not having to. We don't lose a lot of accounts. We don't lose a lot of. We don't lose income. Like we're constantly able to add to our income and add to our growth.
Yeah, I mean there's a few more questions came in, but most of them are going to be covered by watching these videos, the ones that were about sourcing and et cetera. So, I mean, like I said, we mentioned it before, and anybody that came in late, if you go to jordanmalik.com /TWF, you're going to get to see 3 videos that are going to show you exactly how we source, what we look for in a product, and how, we target products, and that's allowed us to have the growth and the wholesale success that we've had to date. So those are really informative. I know we touched on them a little here, but it's going to really give you the numbers and the science and the math behind it, if you will, and really break it down so that it's really digestible and you can understand it, and so that you hopefully after you see this, you never look at a product page the same way again. Like it'll be completely like looking at something completely.
It's like seeing inside the matrix.
That's basically what it is.
Effectively, what this does is it's going to help you understand products better. I don't care how you source. I don't care if you source retail arbitrage. I don't care if if you're purchasing online arbitrage, wholesale, private label, or you make your own widgets. If this will help you understand how products perform on Amazon better. This will make understanding this kind of information will make you a better seller. Like that is at the core of it. That's what this is. It's going to help you become a better and more effective seller. So watch these videos. These videos are, you know, they're free. They're free. They're the perfect price for you to get involved and learn about how, you know, how to better understand products on Amazon.
Very, very generous for you guys to do this for us, for me, for my followers, to spend this amount of time and to put these videos together. jordanmalik.com/TWF. And I really appreciate your time. It's been an hour, and I'm sure everybody learned a lot. I did too. And thank you again, guys.
It has been an absolute pleasure, man. I really do appreciate it. You do a lot of awesome stuff for all your people. Like you're always, you know, you always direct them to the right stuff. And I really do feel like this is you know, a resource that can help them.
When you watch those videos, you'll know if this excites you. You'll know if this is something that you can excel at, that you can do. And if not, like Dan said, you're going to have a lot of good information. You're just going to be more informed and a better reseller regardless, whether you pursue wholesale forward or not. It's just good information because you can learn from anybody, even two guys from Kentucky.
This is
That's awesome, guys. Thank you very much again. We'll be in touch soon, okay?
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
You too.